Zheng Shuyi, a top financial journalist, got played by that jerk. He bowed his head and said to her, Shuyi, I'm sorry. Her family's conditions are very unusual. Her youngest uncle drives a Rolls-Royce, and even the license plate is unique. Let's break up and just be friends. Turns out he was cheating. Shuyi held back tears and slapped him. You bastard, who wants to be friends with you? I want to be your ancestor. Isn't she the 13th zodiac sign with a wealthy family? And doesn't she have an uncle who drives a Rolls-Royce with a special license plate? I want to make this couple bow down and call me young aunt. With respect, and wait for the day I abandon your family. She leaned down towards the car window and said, Hey, my phone's out of battery, could you give me a lift? She tucked her hair behind her ear a little anxiously. The senior lowered his eyes. Then he coldly said, My car doesn't carry women with boyfriends. Shuyi smiled and then said, Oh. Many days ago, she wanted to do an interview. She called out loudly for CEO Shi, thinking to herself, I also want to be the young madam. Shuyi anxiously thought, I've been waiting for this interview for so long. The wait has finally ended. The staff looked at her in fear. Miss, you've lost your memory. However, she just gently smiled. Sir, is it convenient now? At the Financial and Economic Weekly, everyone was incredibly busy when suddenly Shuyi's phone rang with an unidentified call. The person asked, Hello, is this Financial and Economic Weekly reporter Zheng Shuyi? She said yes, it's me. The person replied, My name is Chen Sheng. I am the assistant to the CEO of Mingyu Bank. A month ago, your magazine and CEO Thoi Shiyang scheduled an interview. But it had to be postponed for a week due to personal reasons. Hearing that, her inner voice screamed, So what? The interview script must always pay attention to timeliness. Such delays are unacceptable. However, she had to hold back and speak into the phone, Sorry, but a week is too late. Could you ask President Seo to reschedule? How about tonight? Actually, a phone interview would work too. 3 hours, no, 2 hours would be enough. However, the other side refused. Tonight, CEO She has a rather important party, but I can arrange a spot for you. I can't promise CEO She will have time, though. I'm afraid you'll be empty-handed. You excitedly responded, Please just give me the address, I'll try my best. After hanging up, you immediately collapsed onto the table. Breathing heavily. Who is Shi Yang? At 27, he took over Mingyu Bank under the family conglomerate, which was on the brink of bankruptcy. Amid skepticism and pessimism from the outside world, he single-handedly turned the situation around. Since then, he became famous and became the center of attention in the entire financial world. The name Shi Yang becomes more attractive in the eyes of many, meaning that reporters interviewing him will also gain that much attention. Her colleague saw her looking down and asked, What's the situation? Aren't you supposed to go to your boyfriend's birthday dinner tonight? She sighed and replied, No other choice, it's one or the other, and I'm unlucky, it's that time of the month. Right at that moment, the phone rang. Xingju called and asked her, Sweetheart, when do you get off work? I'll come pick you up. She replied, feeling down. Xingju, I have an important interview for now, I'm afraid it will be tonight. Hearing her hesitate, he quickly said no worries, work is more important. Tonight I'll just find a friend to patch up a meal. She was sad, I'm sorry, I'm not feeling well today either, so after the interview, I probably won't be able to go to the movies with you. Xingju replied it's just a birthday. We can be together ever Shuya from now on, so I'll pick you up later, I'm heading out now. After he hung up, she sighed, life is really not easy, but to be honest, her boyfriend is so thoughtful. They've only been together for a short time, unlike my boyfriend. No matter how passionate our love is, if I ever stood him up for any reason, he would definitely get mad at me. What a nuisance. Shuyi instinctively glanced at her colleague. She thought to herself, Xingju is overly considerate. It seems like he hung up in a hurry before even asking where I was feeling uncomfortable. She patted her face, why scare herself like that? She must be overthinking it. It must be because of her period, making her more sensitive. Don't overthink it. If you choose work tonight, you must make sure the interview is perfect. Now go find Shi Yang at the Ghana Manor. It's pouring rain outside, with the wind howling fiercely. She frowned as if going out, having waited for more than 2 hours. Please, heavens, bless this interview to go smoothly. If I had known, I would have taken a few more painkillers. Just in time, the sound of footsteps echoed. That was Qin Xiaoming, Shi Yang's brother-in-law, the deputy leader of the Mingyu Corporation. He came over and called out, Journalist Zheng. Shuyi's phone suddenly rang. She quickly picked up the phone. Assistant Chen on the other end said, Ms. Zheng, I'm really sorry, but the party here has ended, and Mr. Thoy has another engagement. So she immediately interrupted, I know, thank you. She gloomily picked up her bag and wrapped a scarf around herself before leaving. The noisy crowd walked out. She glanced around the room. There are many familiar faces that I've interviewed, maybe Xi Yang is here too, and there might even be a chance. Suddenly, a drunken man staggered closer. Isn't this reporter Zheng? Are you going alone? Let me take you home. She gave a faint smile. Manager Li, what a coincidence. Suddenly, he put his arm around her shoulder. Let's go, you can't catch a cab in this heavy rain. She quickly refused, no need, my boyfriend is coming soon. Right then a car stopped. Xiaoming glanced and said, the girl over there interviewed me before, she's pretty good too. Chen Sheng just said she waited for you all night. It wasn't easy. Xi Yang took her home. After hearing him speak, he rolled his eyes over. Shuyi trembled, burying her face in the scarf. He glanced briefly and then turned away. She struggled down the road, her hands constantly searching for information about Xi Yang. There wasn't even a single photo of him online. What kind of mystery game is this? Does anyone actually know what Xi Yang looks like? Suddenly, a car screeched to a halt in front of her. She looked up in surprise, just as the door swung open. Reporter Zheng heard someone calling her, so she turned around. The icy-faced Xi Yang stood before her. She was dazed for a moment, then heard him say, I'll see you off for a while. Shuyi did not know him, so she turned away and thought to herself, are all these second-generation rich kids so casual nowadays? She thought for a moment, then declined, no need, thanks. Just as she finished speaking, a sudden sharp pain hit her stomach. He noticed it but said nothing, then heard her say, my boyfriend is about to arrive. He was silent for a moment, then smiled softly. Then he immediately walked by. It's hard to tell how long it's been, but Xingju finally arrived to pick her up. Sorry, sweetheart, it's my first time here, and I had to take a long detour to get here. So I'm late. She smiled, it's okay, the rain was heavy anyway. Then she looked at him and asked, Xingju, who joined you for the birthday tonight? Was it fun? His smile suddenly froze at her question. Did you mean Huafeng? He quickly responded, that's right, you know me so well, you always figure it out. Suddenly, she moved closer and sniffed. She didn't expect such a tough guy to use perfume. Maybe he has a girlfriend. He nervously pushed her away. Stop messing around so I can drive. Baby, he pats her head without suspicion. She felt unhappy, adjusted her hair, then looked out the window, wondering why he's been stroking her hair so often lately. It's still raining outside with no sign of stopping. Shuyi lay exhausted on the bed. Xingju is probably home by now, so let's give him a call before sleeping. Where's my phone? She rummaged around for a bit, then took out her iPad to check the location. Before leaving Garnio Estate, I was still using it, so it couldn't have been stolen. It must have fallen in Tinchu's car. Searching for a while, she found a signal at Jiangcheng People's Hospital No. 1. She frowned, wondering why she was in the hospital. Outside, the rain was pouring down. She quickly put on her slippers, unable to think much anymore. It was already midnight, hopefully nothing serious. She grabbed an umbrella and headed to the hospital. Seeing the car, she immediately recognized it. It was Xingju's car, and sure enough, he was here. It's midnight, and she doesn't know what to do at the hospital, feeling worried. Just at that moment, Xingju walked out. She was overjoyed, just in time. The name Xingju hadn't even fully escaped her lips before she swallowed it back down. In front of her was the image of her boyfriend embracing another girl. She stood still in the rain, watching the couple. She muttered, "You Xingzhou, push her away quickly. Push her away, and then I'll explain." While she's hoping for something, you suddenly pull her into your arms. It felt like a lightning bolt struck her. It's okay, work is more important. It's just a birthday, so tonight I'll find a friend to patch things up and get through the evening. You two haven't been together long. But your boyfriend is really considerate. Shu Feng is going with you, or does he have a girlfriend? Don't mess around, let me drive. Yu Xingzhou, why have you been stroking my hair so often lately? I'm not overthinking it. She watched him stroke the other girl's hair, realizing everything had been scripted all along. She stared blankly at the bracelet on her wrist. She remembered the day he gave it to her, and said he was a determined man, capable of spending 3 years to pursue her. You can spend your whole life making her happy, please trust me. Returning to the present, he is kissing another girl. She took off the bracelet and put it back on the car's steering wheel. It's funny, it's 3 in the morning and she's still looking at old photos of the two of them. There's a sudden sound of the doorbell. She went out to open the door. Xingju lowered his head. Shuyi. Not sure how much time has passed, at the Economic and Financial Weekly. She knocked on Tang Yi's door, the editor of the finance department. The person said, "Please come in." The Mingyu Bank's representative called and said the interview with the character will be postponed until 10 p.m. next Thursday, and the topic must be changed. Zheng Shuyi quickly sent the new outline. Looking at her deathly pale face, Tang Yi couldn't help but be stunned. "Oh my god, what's wrong with you? Is it because you couldn't meet CEO Shi? Why is your mental state like this? Don't tell me you're still angry." She was dispirited, not because of that, but because last night I broke up with my ex-boyfriend. He said her family's conditions were not ordinary. The youngest drove a Rolls-Royce, even the license plate was unique. There was only one in the entire Jiangcheng, having both money and power. I'm out of options. I also want to reach the state I'll achieve in 20 years, not like now when I can't even afford a house. I used to love you very much. I also wanted us to be together forever, but now I feel we are better off as friends. She immediately turned around and took the wheel of the memory box. Then threw it towards him. "Who wants to be friends with you?" She slapped him hard. "I want to be your ancestor." Tang Yi frowned, so he finally took advantage of the moment she wasn't paying attention and chose the most expensive brooch. "Right," she nodded dejectedly. Tang Yi snapped. "I told you from the beginning that he wasn't worthy of you. I treated you like a treasure, and it took a lot of effort to bring you over from the newspaper office just to create a unique brand for you in the Financial and Economic Weekly. With your abilities and conditions, there's no shortage of good people for you to find." She sighed. "So what kind should I look for?" She recalled the scene in Xingju where he cheated on her. "Then state the reason and conditions." Tang Yi replied, "Finding someone who drives a Rolls-Royce, why not? If she has capital and is willing to work hard, her future will be bright. It's okay to drive a Rolls-Royce." Then she handed Shuyi a stack of documents. "Don't let your emotions affect your work. Adjust your mindset and do a good job at the conference at the financial center this afternoon." At the financial center, she scrolled through her phone while thinking, Yu Xingzhou's company is next door. If it weren't for the fact that this is the only cafe in the area, she wouldn't have bothered coming. At that moment, he and the girl arrived. The staff immediately bowed to them. Right then she walked out and was startled to see him. He also felt uneasy looking at her. "It's unfortunate, we just broke up at dawn, and now you're already holding hands and flaunting it everywhere." He whispered into his lover's ear, "Next time let's go there, baby." She pouted, refusing. "I only like drinking cocoa at this place, missing a day makes me feel really uneasy." Shuyi thought to herself, she has known me for a long time. Seeing the bracelet that looked exactly like hers, Shuyi couldn't help but get angry. "I still remember him patting my head." She scolded. It seems the dog still hasn't changed its habit of eating dung. Hearing this made her clench her fists in anger. She threw the glass of water into the trash can and then happily walked out. It turns out some people only like using second-hand stuff. Stepping outside, she angrily kicked the pole, then calmed herself down, thinking it wasn't worth getting mad over that dog couple. The couple walked to the car. She was still angry and said, "Honey, did you see her? It's one thing to curse at me, but why did she start cursing at you?" He smiled and replied, "All right, darling, next time we won't come to this place again. At least you got to see how nasty she can be. I really can't imagine how you managed to tolerate her all these years." Shuyi silently said, "I didn't hear anything." She said, "Later on, we have to stay away from people like her, as far as possible." She watched the car drive away. She recalled the events of the previous day. Remember every single word he said. It's the same Rolls-Royce, going to the hospital and all that, going on dates together and all that, being air support for the niece to steal someone else's boyfriend. No wonder Yu Xingzhou can't forget this Rolls-Royce. Consider this, if you don't make someone pay a heavy price for their own actions, they won't see you as a person of determination and character. They'll just think you're a fool and too easygoing. Not trying to save yourself 20 years of effort. Don't you want to lean on something big? So what about Rolls-Royce? Even though I can't make you pay a heavy price, I also want you to respectfully call me aunt every time you flatter me in the future. And finally, I will throw your entire family out." She imagined the man shouting, "I will never let this womanizing man set foot in our house." She smiled, "Who isn't a villain?" Then she came to knock on the car window. Seeing it was quiet inside, she knocked again, looked around, no one. The door slid down. She was surprised to see the person inside. It was the man who had offered to escort her partway the other day. She stared in shock, moving closer. It was him. Back then she even said her boyfriend would come to pick her up. The rich second-generation guy I rejected. The situation has come to this, so she boldly lowered her head and asked, "Hey, my phone is out of battery, and I can't get a ride. Could I borrow your phone?" Time seemed to stop, but before that, he had already made the first move to talk to me, so at least he was somewhat interested in me, or maybe he was just willing to give me a lift for a while. Seeing him glance at her, anxiously waiting, and then hearing him say, "My car doesn't take women who already have a boyfriend." She was stunned, not knowing what to say for a moment. He said it, then backed the car and sped off. The beautiful scene just now was immediately destroyed. She sat typing with a whirlwind of emotions. The man who tried to approach me last night was the youngest of that BA girl's family, and today he rejected my conversation with pure hostility. "My car doesn't give rides to women who already have boyfriends," she fumed. "This guy sure holds a grudge." Suddenly I was stiff like I got sprayed with glue. Then she tried to get back to work. Love may have failed, but work must thrive, she reassured herself. Come on, this time the interview with Shi Yang must go smoothly. She walked in, and immediately a staff member called her back. Please come here to register as a guest. Fill out the form here." She carefully took the pen, then saw a name, Shu Yuling. Why is she here again? It's definitely her. In the company, I never got along with Shu Yuling. Ever since I started working, she's always targeted me. There hasn't been a single year in recent times without resource theft, and this time is no different. The elevator doors open. The person was surprised, Reporter Zheng. She was also taken aback. "Secretary Chen, it's great that you're here. I have an appointment with the president for an exclusive interview at 3:30 this afternoon." Chen Sheng scratched his head. "But aren't you busy?" She was surprised. "What?" He explained, "This morning, your colleague already came to the office for the interview. At that time, the president happened to be free." She clenched her fists. Of course, Shu Yuling came to steal the opportunity. She smiled. "Sorry about that. It's because our internal communication wasn't clear." Chen Sheng sighed. "Sorry for troubling you to come here." She politely responded that it was nothing. The door creaked open, and both turned to look. Shi Yang calmly walked in. Shui was surprised. She wondered, what about the youngest one? Could it be this situation? This situation is, she trembled. Unexpectedly Chen Sheng shouted, "CEO Shi." Shui was stunned. CEO Shi. The wealthy second-generation heir with no known name is actually the youngest son, who's hard to approach from BBA, and then turns out to be the financial mogul Shi Yang. "Yu Xingzhou, you really know how to pick them." Chen Sheng walked over and whispered something to him. Then he looked over. She forced a smile. Shi Yang narrowed his eyes, then walked past her. She thought to herself, just walk away and act like nothing happened. Thinking of her competitors, she became even more determined. "I don't want to. I want to interview you," she thought, then immediately called him back. "CEO Shi. We have an interview scheduled for this afternoon." He stopped in his tracks as he heard her say, "I've been looking forward to this interview for a long time, and finally, the day has come." Chen Sheng gaped. "Miss, have you lost your memory?" But she just smiled gently. "Sir, do you find it convenient now?" Shui approached Shi Yang and said, "I just need a little of your time." She looked into his eyes with urgency. "Okay." Shi Yang glanced over for a moment. But then he turned away. "It seems like it's failed." She lowered her head, looking at the ground, and sighed. The elevator dinged and the door opened. Shi Yang stood at the door and turned his head slightly, saying, "Come here." She thought to herself, this must be a living bodhisattva, no need to shave the head. She quietly thanked heaven and Buddha. The elevator stopped at floor -2. She anxiously asked, "CEO Shi, where are we going?" Suddenly, Shi Yang's phone rang. The ringtone was, "Rum rum rum, the CEO has a call." Silence. But he didn't pick up the phone. As soon as Chen Sheng turned off the phone and put it in his inner pocket, another ringtone sounded from his pocket. "Rum rum rum," it shouted, telling Shuin's uncle to answer the phone. "It is the love rival." Shi Yang turned back and said, "Chen Sheng, pass my words to her," face expressionless. "If she don't listen to family, don't show up in front of me again," Chen Sheng said softly. Shui stood by, thinking to herself that the situation seemed better than she had expected. Though he dearly loved his niece, he was also very strict, a man of his word with a strong voice and authority. In the household, Perfect for me to borrow his power to assert my dominance. Little 3, just you wait. Ting, the elevator doors opened. Shi Yang walked out first and said, I have 2 hours in the car, let's talk on the way. Shuyi replied, okay. He settled into the back seat, sighed, and glanced over. She stepped forward, brushing her hair back, the light from the window illuminating her, making her look stunning and graceful. He closed his eyes, rubbing the bridge of his nose. She thought to herself, my ability to manage expressions and movements should be considered up to standard. Shi Yang suddenly asked, still facing the window, are you cold? She seemed surprised by the question, thinking to herself, is this something he can ask? How thoughtful, how meticulous, indeed. Keep up the momentum, turn your face 3/4. Tilt your head 15 degrees, slightly angle your face towards the light. She smiled and replied, one hand raised to brush her hair, not cold, still thinking, my perspective is the most beautiful. Shi Yang still didn't look at her and simply said, open the window. She stood there, stunned. As soon as the window was opened, the wind rushed in, combined with the speed of the car, making Shuyi's hair fly all over the place. She maintained her graceful posture from earlier, but now her arms couldn't resist the cold wind and trembled uncontrollably. She thought to herself, saying I'm not cold doesn't mean I'm very hot. Got it? Looking all fancy, but CEO she still isn't impressed. The autumn wind of Jiangcheng is truly refreshing, cold enough to bring tears, but she still tries to smile. She took a hair tie out of her bag and tied her hair up high. Then she turned to Shi Yang with a smile, CEO Shi, may I start the recording now? He remained still, neither moving nor responding to her. She still smiled and said, I will record everything, and after the final draft is ready, we will review it together. He sat there, his posture unchanged, eyes still closed, and didn't respond to her. She thought, why not just install a folding bed in the car, but outwardly she said, I'll start now, with a forced smile, while taking out the tablet. She began, the main focus of this interview revolves around the pivotal role of the renminbi in Asian monetary cooperation, and the role the renminbi plays in the East Asian region. He also opened his eyes to listen attentively. He suddenly thought of Xu Yuling's demeanor during her presentation. This interview mainly revolved around the role of the renminbi as a pillar in Asian monetary cooperation. And her tone was very similar to Shuyi. Shuyi continued, first of all, please talk a bit about the necessary preparations of a major commercial bank in the process of promoting the internationalization of the yuan. The content of the plan being the same. She turned to look at him, wondering how he saw things. As she turned around, she noticed his gaze, unusually intense. His face remained emotionless, except now he was staring at her with a perplexing intensity, while she blinked nervously. Feeling both shy and scared. He sighed, and she thought, hey, if you don't have some hidden agenda with me, then today I have to make you explain what this expression means. First, enhancing the strength of capital resources to better compete in the international market, the bank must ensure a large amount of capital to support its scale and the complexity of cross-border operations. Second, upgrading information and technology systems to improve service efficiency, minimize risks, and meet international standards. The bank needs to upgrade its information and technology systems to adapt to complex international financial transactions. Shuyi sat listening, thinking in her head, it has begun. He continued, thirdly, the cross-border payment and processing system enhances the efficiency and convenience of cross-border transactions to attract more international customers. Almost 2 hours have passed. Shuyi scratched her head, realizing that so much time had passed. To keep up with his pace, she couldn't afford to lose focus for even a second. Then she turned to look at him, the man who was now relaxing with his eyes closed. The sharp features of his face made it impossible for her to look away. Then he suddenly opened his eyes, CEO Shi, although his temper was unpredictable, his appearance truly, he spoke, his eyes glanced at her, are you done? She was confused, suddenly turned around, not knowing where to look, she blurted out, done looking. Shi Yang looked at her in confusion, while Shuyi blushed with embarrassment. Oops, she still clutched the tablet tightly, raising it to cover her embarrassed face. He said nothing, just looked at her and adjusted his tie. She thought she shouldn't have rushed. Chen Sheng spoke up to save the situation, CEO Shi, we are here. He opened the door and stepped out first, saying the 2 hours were up. Inside the car, she silently gave thanks. The driver had just saved her life. She suddenly realized, right, where am I going? Shi Yang continued in a cold voice, you can go now. She started to panic because around the car was a vast, empty field with no one in sight. She stepped outside, sweating bullets, wondering how she could get around in this rocky place, maybe on horseback. Then, she turned around unconsciously and saw Shi Yang had already walked several meters away. He really left. She ran after him, calling out, CEO Shi, there's still one last question, or should we talk about something else instead? He replied briefly, go ahead. Actually, it's not a very important rumor. I see that netizens are buzzing about it. So, do you have a girlfriend? He turned back to look at her. Her wavy, glossy black hair fluttered gently in the wind. Then she smiled warmly. Now he fully turned to face her, their height difference was striking. He was about to say something when someone called out, Shi Yang. You just arrived. She glanced over his shoulder. The man continued, this girl is. She covered her mouth, thinking to herself, it was Gwen Hyangseong, a respected figure in the industry, a leader in finance, a textbook example in the field. A global leader, whom she had only seen through media channels before. Shi Yang was speaking when Shuyi interrupted, hello Mr. Guan, I am Zheng Shuyi, a reporter for the Finance and Economics Weekly. Mr. Guan replied, oh, the Finance and Economics Weekly. He continued, I have read a few of your articles, they are well written, insightful, and beyond my expectations. Then he turned around, placing his hand on Shi Yang's shoulder. Shi Yang, I thought it was just you coming, so I didn't prepare anything. My shabby place rarely sees women. This tone, unless she was secretly pleased, meant he already saw her as Shi Yang's girlfriend. Shuyi looked around in awe. This place is so beautiful, Uncle Guan takes such good care of it. These horses are also very beautiful, never seen them before. Uncle Gwen smiled, the real precious horses are inside. She covered her face, her eyes sparkling. The Chinese brother received the award, wow, is he still here? Yeah, just wait a moment, okay. Shi Yang was eyeing her. His face was expressionless. She turned to meet his gaze, innocent and guiltless. He turned away and said, I'm going to change, don't try anything, she thought, he's not kicking me out. She smiled and replied, yes. I will wait here obediently. He cleared his throat. Mr. Guan stood from afar and smiled as well. Uncle Guan said it seems like you two have known each other for a long time. She scratched her head and replied shyly, not long, actually, we just met today. Uncle Guan continued, I see you really like horses. It's here, so do you want to learn how to ride a horse? She was taken aback, is it really possible? In the dressing room, there are some old clothes of my wife. If you don't mind, you can wear them. She enthusiastically replied, sure, follow me. In the dressing room. Shuyi was delighted, thinking, I've never ridden before, I really want to try. She walked past Shi Yang's dressing room, but didn't notice him. He doesn't know what she is doing here. Shuyi happily followed Mr. Guan, while Shi Yang silently watched her. After changing clothes, she thought to herself, the riding outfit fits perfectly, just missing a belt, takes a little more time. Suddenly she heard footsteps. Her face turned sly. Shi Yang had finished changing. She called out, CEO Shi. How do you tie this belt? Can you teach me? His feet turned back toward her. Knock knock knock, she thought, it's over, caught, click. Shi Yang was standing in front of the changing room door, back to back with her, but slightly turned her face and said, if you don't know how to tie it, then don't ride it anymore. She was at a loss for words and coughed. Shuyi stepped outside as the evening set in, her hair now tied a bit lower than before. She thought to herself, based on the content of the earlier conversation, she roughly understood it already. Guan Xiangqing and Shi Yang were not relatives. It was just that Guan Xiangqing and Shi Yang's father had a friendship, and Shi Yang only came along to go with Guan Xiangqing. His status in Shi Yang's heart is evident. Shi Yang and Guan Xiangqing are not very close, but there is a lot of respect. He will always show his best side. Uncle Guan said, this horse is the most gentle and tame one. Shuyi nodded. He continued, let Shi Yang teach you how to ride. So this time he definitely won't turn me down, she thought as she led the horse forward to greet Shi Yang. He reached out his hand to invite her onto the horse, but why did this expression scare her so much, she thought to herself. But what could he possibly do to her? Feed her to the horse. Thinking, she climbed onto the saddle and turned back, saying, CEO Shi, just teach me a little. Before she could finish her sentence, he placed his hand on the horse's back and climbed up to sit behind her. Her face flushed with embarrassment. What I need to teach isn't like this, she yelled in her mind. He asked why. She replied with a trembling voice, I'm fine, just a little nervous since it's my first time riding a horse. He responded briefly, yeah. The sunset's gentle sunlight bathed the countryside as he slowly guided the horse step by step across the lush green meadow. Shuyi thought to herself, she didn't expect that CEO Shi would be so gentle. They were walking when they saw Mr. Guan also riding a white horse ahead. He waved hello, looking very cute. Then suddenly Shi Yang fiercely whipped the reins, making the horse bolt forward in a frenzy. Shuyi, sitting on it, screamed in panic. She staggered and shouted, "Slow down, whoa, slow down." In front of them now is a horse racing hurdle. As the horse runs toward it, it instinctively lifts itself up and jumps over in a leap of admiration. Then it jumped again. 3rd time. 10th time. And of course, every time, she would scream, feel dizzy, and suddenly grab his hand. She turned back and whispered, pleading with him, begging him to slow down a bit, her face drained of all color. Then he pulled the horse to a stop, and she tumbled forward due to inertia. Luckily he caught her firmly, otherwise she would have fallen to the ground. He's sweating too. She lay slumped on the horse's back, her mind racing, thinking, are you feeling guilt yet? Now, no matter what you say, I absolutely won't forgive you. Suddenly, he asked, still studying. Her mouth stiff as if glued shut, but inside, she was screaming, no more studying. Night had fallen, beneath the building of Zheng Shuyi. She sat in the car looking tired, opening her eyes after a long nap in the car. Turning around, Shi Yang had disappeared. She wondered, has Shi Yang already left? She walked alone towards her building, lifting her hand to tuck her hair behind her ear, suddenly realizing that her earring had disappeared without her noticing. She hurried back to the car, but didn't make it in time. The earring fell in the car. She thought to herself, oh well, it's just 15 yuan, let it have its freedom. She groaned, it hurts so much. At the newsroom, someone called out her name loudly, Shuyi. Aren't you checking your phone? Why didn't you reply to my WeChat message? Something big happened. Nan Nan hurriedly ran over. Shuyi replied, sorry Nan Nan, the group messages were a bit overwhelming, so I missed your message. Also, I was drafting something and didn't notice. What's up? Nan Nan whispered into her ear, you know what, yesterday Xu Yuling also interviewed Shuyan. She replied briefly, yeah, I know, Nan Nan continued, and I even glanced at her draft in the editor-in-chief's office. Her outline copied yours entirely, every single question was exactly the same. Shuyi suddenly realized, no wonder, when she asked the question, Shi Yang showed such a strange expression. She knew the precious achievements of the birth work. Duong Yok wouldn't care about the underhanded competition among subordinates regarding unwritten rules. Whoever is more suitable will be chosen, but her interview. Her draft, why should she be afraid of someone else publishing it now? She slammed the table, stood up abruptly, and shouted, I'll ask the editor-in-chief, but then pulled her hand back in pain. She sat in the bathroom thinking, last night she was so focused on drafting that she didn't notice how the bruise on her thigh had gotten worse. Who would have thought that just horseback riding could cause this? Shi Yang, this is all thanks to you. Want to study, now my interview draft is basically done for, she complained. Someone suddenly knocked on the bathroom door. Xu Wuling walked in, feeling grumpy. Seriously, isn't this favoritism towards Zheng Shuyi? She yelled into the phone, ever since Zheng Shuyi somehow fell into the finance group, she's been cutting away at my share of the cake. I'm sure Tang Yi is siding with her, she said as she slammed her hand down on the sink. Shuyi sat there with a ridiculous expression. Yuling kept shouting, and then there was Shi Yang. It was clearly the same interview, but the amount of information that Zheng Shuyi received was much more than mine. If you compare it to my draft, it's as if Shi Yang wanted to kick me out. Heaven knows what kind of charm she cast on people. Shuyi pushed the door open. I did not cast any spell or enchantment. Yuling was so shocked that he dropped his phone on the floor. My skills are strong, CEO. She likes me a bit more, she said while looking in the mirror, adjusting her outfit, while Xu Yuling stood speechless next to her, spraying hairspray. Shuyi turned to smile, but inside she thought, you even went ahead and reported first, huh? Who told you to steal my interview? Who told you to take my manuscript? Now I'll make you so mad you'll cough up blood. Ha! It seems like my manuscript got selected. She happily left the restroom. No more back pain, no more leg pain. She endured all the suffering to become the little lady. Sitting with Nan Nan, she felt happy for Shuyi about what just happened. So, the main page this time is still yours. That's awesome, even with the answers provided. She couldn't copy and surpass you. How was the situation with Xu Yuling handled afterward? Shuyi replied, how else could it be handled? You already know what kind of person the chief editor is. Make a big deal into a small deal, and make a small deal into nothing. The editor-in-chief said, we are all in the same group. After all, we still have to see each other often. Her draft has been discarded, And your article is definitely going to be featured on the main news page in the fourth quarter of this year. Let this matter slide. Nan Nan was furious. TCH. We have no way to deal with this kind of person. Meanness is the pass of the petty. Arrived, Shuyi said as she opened the car door and stepped out. Just as she stepped out, she quickly turned back into the car. Nan Nan teased, feeling guilty towards her. Huh, what are you doing? The pavement is too hot, huh? Shuyi quickly said no, raised a finger to her lips signaling Nan Nan to stay quiet, because Yu Xingzhou was getting into the car in the distance. Nan Nan wondered, isn't that your boyfriend? Shuyi got angry. Nan Nan hesitantly asked, have you two broken up? Shuyi stayed silent. Did you get dumped? Still silent. If I'm not wrong, you not only got dumped but also got cheated on. How did you guess so accurately? I remember he used to drive a Honda, but now he's switched to a Benz. After all, I'm a reporter, so I should have some observation skills. That's how he managed to cling to a moment. Yu Seo could only bow her head in sorrow. Nan Nan continued, it's just a Mercedes-Benz C-Series, right? It's only 300,000, not really that much of a luxury car. If we try a little, we can buy it too. Seems like this rich lady's abilities aren't that great. Shuyi started to recall that CEO she used both a Bentley and a Rolls-Royce, while the grandson only drove a car of this value. It seems he doesn't spoil his niece by letting her spend excessively. She touched her earring and pondered, TSK, so this man is really stingy. Sitting in the car, Xiang gently rubbed the bridge of his nose where the glasses pressed. Suddenly, he realized the lost earring of Shuyi. He wore glasses to take a closer look. Chen Sheng turned and said, CEO Shi, the Economic and Financial Weekly reporter Zheng Shuyi is looking for you, then handed over the phone. Chen Sheng continued, she said she dropped something at your place. On the other end of the line, when CEO Shi was called, he only responded with a faint Zheng Shuyi knew Shi Yang was listening, so she continued, it seems like my earring fell off in your car, may I ask if you have seen it? It's a pearl earring. But she had no idea that her earring was in his hand. Shi Yang spun the pearl, saying he couldn't see anything. Zheng Shuyi became anxious, could you please look again? This earring is really important to me. His eyes blinked as he asked back. How important? After a few seconds of silence, she continued speaking, it was given by my grandmother to my mother, and then my mother passed it down to me, it's an heirloom of our family. After hearing that, Shi Yang's face became doubtful. The importance of this earring is not yet fully explained here. It is my dowry, and I will have to wear it on my wedding day. Zheng Shuyi choked up as she spoke, whenever I see it, I think of my grandmother, it's been so long since I last saw her. The Adam's apple of Shi Yang moved slightly. The corners of his mouth gradually curved up into a smile, millimeter, now it's visible. Zheng Shuyi hesitated as she prepared to make the proposal, She hadn't finished speaking when he interrupted her. Her dowry was a product made of plastic. Because she didn't want to trouble Chen Sheng to bring the earrings, Zheng Shuyi asked for the address and went to pick them up herself, but this road, this address. At Beigang, where high-rise buildings are everywhere. Zheng Shuyi thought for a moment as she looked up. Who could that belong to? It probably isn't Chen Sheng's, right? After that, she was determined to start running, and the plan to become the youngest aunt was officially set in motion. The spacious villa is completely separated from the luxurious places outside. Zheng Shuyi opened the door with a warm smile and said, good evening. The result that greeted her was just an empty space in front of her. She was slightly surprised, the door automatically opened. Silently walking inside, Zheng Shuyi looked around, feeling that the environment here was a bit dim. Her gaze focused ahead, lost in thought, in the living room. Hearing the rustling sound, Zheng Shuyi turned to the side and immediately saw Shi Yang. He put on his glasses and focused intently on the book. The wind gently blows, her hair fluttering, exuding confidence. Yen took off his glasses and said to her, over there. Zheng Shuyi gently brushed her hair back with her hand and nodded, Quickly running off to find her earrings, my earrings, my earrings, the big bear Shi Yang over here closed the book he was reading. Seeing it on the table, Zheng Shuyi jumped for joy, found it, success, success, still thinking to herself, maybe it's better to find another topic. Looking around the desk for a moment, she was utterly surprised. Discovering an item she also loves, Song Yuelan's album, My Idol. Propping her chin on her hand, Zheng Shuyi pondered, although Song Yuelan was very famous, CEO she didn't seem like someone who would enjoy this type of music. In the end, she shook her head and decided to ignore it. Zheng Shuyi quickly turned to ask him, CEO Shi, do you also like Song Yuelan? Shi Yang reached out to pour himself a drink, not knowing what she was talking about. She, like a lucky little rabbit, happily smiled and said, "What a coincidence, I also really like her. Every album you have, I have them all too." Turned around slowly and walked inside, she continued to ask him, "So which song of hers do you like?" While feeling awkward and wanting to express a common interest to have something to talk about, "I like." Zheng Shuyi stared at the items on the sofa, a handbag and a woman's scarf, concluding they belonged to a young girl. Her mind started to blur, tangled like a ball of yarn. Shi Yang already had a girlfriend, and she was even here. I was wrong. I don't want to face the fallout." Ignoring the fact that he hadn't said a word the whole time, and was leaning against the coffee table, she immediately bowed her head 90 degrees to show her sincerity. "I've retrieved the earrings, thank you for keeping them for me. It's getting late, so I won't disturb you any longer. I'll be on my way now. I wish you a joyful and fulfilling life. Goodbye." Putting the glass cup down on the table, Shi Yang didn't understand what was happening, feeling a bit hesitant. "So, this is it, it's over?" Zheng Shuyi broke out in a cold sweat, bowed her head in embarrassment. "It's too late now, I won't bother you anymore. I still have a draft to finish on time. I won't disturb you. After speaking, she turned and walked away. Stepping out of the world of Shi Yang alone, there were no lights outside, and everything felt incredibly dim and dark. About to leave, she suddenly stopped. But thinking it over, the idea that he had a girlfriend was just my own speculation. Should I really abandon the entire plan because of this uncertain guess? I need a definite answer before giving up completely. After making up her mind, Zheng Shuyi turned around and went back inside once more. Behind her, someone hesitantly said, "CEO Shi, Shi Yang tilted her head to look at the person next to her and softly said, "On the way here I encountered a bit of inconvenience, may I borrow something from your girlfriend?" He raised an eyebrow, "Girlfriend?" Zheng Shuyi quickly got to the point. "Isn't the person in that room your girlfriend?" Shi Yang looked over at the sofa and noticed the women's belongings neatly placed there. He turned away with a sigh, slightly smirking, which surprised her, but he didn't forget to say it wasn't true. Zheng Shuyi flashed a very triumphant smile, "So good, right?" Shi Yang used his height and large build to overpower her. "How is that a good thing?" She hesitated, clearly unable to answer his question. Shi Yang placed the glass on the table. "Keep your eyes glued to her to focus on every word, all to avoid unnecessary misunderstandings." He listened to her entire sentence, then immediately moved closer. "Misunderstanding, what misunderstanding?" Shi Yang moved too quickly and stepped on Zheng Shuyi's slipper, nearly causing her to fall. "Oh no, he misunderstood me." Her mind was in turmoil, fighting an intense internal battle. How should I explain this? If I say it's a misunderstanding, will he think I'm trying to seduce him? Shi Yang reached out to catch her, looking at her awkwardly. He spoke first, "She's my niece, so there shouldn't be any misunderstandings." His hand is currently placed on her waist, and their faces are very close. Zheng Shuyi jumped out of Shi Yang's arms, almost making him fall flat on his face, but that's okay. Her mind suddenly clicked, "Wait, a niece. If I run into that little girl right now, what am I supposed to do?" Zheng Shuyi anxiously jumped up, making him frown in confusion. Yes, it would be terrible if your niece misunderstood." After saying that, she shot out of his house like a rocket, only throwing back one sentence, "I'm heading home now, sleep well, goodbye." Zheng Shuyi ran away, leaving behind his house slippers, making Shi Yang bend down to pick them up and put them away. At this moment, a woman walked out of the room, saying, "Just took a short nap, and it's already dark outside." This is Shi Yang's niece on his mother's side, Qin Shiming. "Uncle, I think I heard a woman's voice in the house. Did someone come over, uncle?" Waking up still half asleep. The girl thought to herself, "Why does uncle's look seem a bit dismissive of me? Or am I just imagining it?" Shi Yang sat on the sofa, one hand resting on his chin while the other flipped through a book. A harsh voice echoed beside him, "Core, are you really leaving?" Qin Shiming, feeling upset, just wanted to reject this idea. The family's wealth from 3 generations is more than enough to last a lifetime. If the whole family works hard to earn money, someone has to spend it, right? You haven't even put in this much effort into your studies, and now, just for a few thousand yuan a month from an internship, you have to commute back and forth every day. The girl squeezed out 2 tears, trying to beg him, plus it was already the end of the year, could we talk about it next year? but his next words directly cut off all her pleas. Our family doesn't raise disabled people. At the building of Economic and Financial Times Company. Kong Nan picked up the paper on the table. Zheng Shui asked, "What's going on here? Does the editor-in-chief want you to mentor this newcomer?" She nodded helplessly. Still typing on the keyboard. "Yeah, recruitment season has finally arrived." Kong Nan also encouraged her, smiling cheerfully, "Good looks, impressive resume, went to the same school as the editor-in-chief. An outstanding student, be gentle with this one," Zheng Shui reminded, "take a closer look at their achievements and background." Kong Nan finished reading and broke out in a cold sweat. The runner-up of the school singing competition, University Beauty Club President Zheng Shui, was even more terrified. "This is a second-generation ancestor, a master I cannot provoke. Now I have to juggle both work and love. How could I possibly have time to deal with this living king of hell?" At the office, everyone is buzzing with conversation. A voice called out from behind Zheng Shui, "Are you Zheng Shui? HR told me to find you." She turned and greeted softly. Kong Nan beside her also couldn't help but eavesdrop. Qin Shiyu, a young and dynamic girl with a trendy style, confidently introduces herself, "I look forward to your guidance." Zheng Shui gets ready. This time she must work hard to finish the interview draft with Shi Yang. Her noise-cancelling headphones are already prepared. She remembers there's still something she hasn't done, but first, she needs to assign some tasks to this intern. After thinking, she walked over to Qin Shiyu and said, "Shiyu, inside is the recording of the interview I conducted some time ago. Please organize the content and draft a copy." The girl nodded, "Yes, full of confidence. Isn't it just listening and writing? What's so difficult about it?" Open the file. Qin Shiyu was so nervous. The recording of the Shi Yang 1210 interview. Sitting at the desk, the girl was sweating profusely. "No way, isn't this all Chinese? Why can't I understand anything? This is way too professional." Qin Shiyu turned around and called, "Sister Shuyi." But she remained silent, her fingers tapping away on the keyboard, click click click. The little girl thought her voice was too soft, so she called out again, "Zheng Shuyi." As a result, she grabbed the cup of coffee and gulped it down without a second thought. Qin Shiyu wanted to call a third time, but thought it would probably be pointless. She kept writing, which made the girl annoyed. "No one had ever been so indifferent to me since I was a child." By the late afternoon, Zheng Shui took off her headphones, stretched, and realized the workday had already ended. Look back over your shoulder to see how the trainee is doing. But basically, Qin Shiyu goes straight home after work. A girl who loves cleanliness, but not work. The old house on this side echoed with voices, making work feel unbearably boring. Of course, it was Qin Shiyu who was complaining to her parents. On the very first day, the leader already asked her to transcribe an audio recording, but she's a journalist, not a typist. The elegant woman sitting next to the little girl is Song Yulan, Qin Shiyue's biological mother, a singer by profession. She asked which leader it was, and Qin Shiyu responded, "Yes, it's Zheng Zheng or something like that." Qin Xiaoming quickly figured it out and immediately asked his daughter, "Zheng Shuyi, what do you think?" Qin Shiyu nodded, "Or Dad, do you know him?" Qin Xiaoming replied, "I've interacted with him, he's great, you should learn from him." The girl couldn't back down and directly turned her face away. "I'm learning, but he's not willing to teach me." He wondered, why not? Qin Shiyu glanced to the side. It turns out that looking at Shi Yang eating his meal so happily on the other side. Then the little girl began describing a long series of events that left her parents bewildered. Shi Yang placed the phone down with a click, then wiped her hands with a towel and said, "I'm full." Qin Shiyu on this side was trembling while holding the chopsticks, but it seemed that he had received the wrong warning signal. He had brought himself into the Financial Economics Times and was determined to take control for himself. The next day at the company, Zheng Shui walked in, looking radiant. "Good morning," someone greeted. "Good morning, Shuyi," she replied, "Good morning." Kong Nan grabbed a cup of coffee and rushed over to eavesdrop. "Is there something exciting happening?" she asked confidently. The editor really liked the interview manuscript with Thoi Yen. Now we just need to wait for Ming Yu's approval. She looked neat and tidy, but in reality, she had stayed up all night. The email notification sound from Gmail rang. She clicked to open it, and the response was that the result was not approved. Zheng Shui remained confident, rolled up her sleeves. "I'll fix it right away, and will definitely make you satisfied." Her sense of responsibility, as a worker, emerged. The result after countless efforts was still nothing. Kong Nan looked at the computer screen puzzled. Why does it keep getting rejected without any feedback? Zheng Shuyi, hair disheveled, first time interviewing him, didn't know he'd be so strict. Just as Tan Shishiyue arrived, she also peeked over to take a look. Kong Nan advised her colleague to carefully consider if she might have offended someone. Zheng Shuyi shook her head, unable to think of anything. Tan Shishiyu also perked up her ears to listen to the conversation. Silently smiling to himself, could it be that the youngest uncle truly, indeed the biological uncle, did it for him? Xu Yuling walked by and started mocking her. Didn't they say Shi Yang liked her a lot? Don't tell me the manuscript is stuck. Zheng Shuyi thought to herself, the deadline is approaching. Revising the manuscript for no reason like this isn't the way to go. She left her desk and started walking somewhere. The sound of her high heels echoed throughout the area. In the office of Tang Yi, someone called the editor-in-chief. So it's Zheng Shuyi who came. Can you give me Shi Yang's phone number? I'll ask him myself. The afternoon at Beigang. The luxury car is slowly driving in. While he was resting his chin on his hand, someone called out, CEO Shi, you have arrived. Zheng Shuyi was already at the gate waiting for him. Shi Yang adjusted his glasses. Looking at the girl in front of him, shivering from the cold. Following the breeze, she turned and looked outside. The result was catching him heading home after work. When Shi Yang got out of the car, she immediately called out, CEO Shi, he asked, what's the matter? Zheng Shuyi awkwardly thought to herself, this is bad. I still haven't figured out how to ask. Do you have a grudge against me? If I ask like that, will it sound too strong? In the end, she chose to ask, I have a feeling that maybe you wanted to see me, so I came to find you. Shi Yang nodded. Oh, now she felt a bit of regret, suddenly feeling a bit of regret for asking like that. He raised an eyebrow and asked Zheng Shuyi, why do you feel like I want to meet you? She was terrified and told herself, in moments like this, even if you can't stand straight, you have to be strong. The result is she had to force herself to get to the point. Otherwise, what did you mean by rejecting my manuscript 3 times, not even bothering to pick up the phone? Shuyan replied with a sullen face, dissatisfied. She pressed on, dissatisfied with what? She stepped closer to him, show me what's wrong and I'll fix it, no way I can't make it right. Shi Yang directly turned away, avoiding facing her. Watching his figure slowly walk away, her heart skipped a beat. Does he really have to leave? The deadline is almost here. This is the page I've worked so hard for. I can't. Zheng Shuyi lowered her head and said with difficulty, otherwise, you must want to meet me. Shi Yang stopped, then silently smiled. She was struggling hard with her thoughts, wondering, what am I even saying? I'm really panicking. He walked up to the door and said to her, so come in here, leaving her momentarily stunned. He put his hand in his pocket and gently said, come here. Inside Shi Yang's villa, Zheng Shuyi was trembling on the living room chair. He must have figured out why I was causing a scene, but why did he still tell me to come in? The more she thought about it, the more embarrassed she became, covering part of her blushing face as she fantasized, unless he's already fallen for my charm, I really do have a magnetic appeal. Shi Yang's finger lightly touched a chair and said, sit here, fix it. Shuyi was startled, sitting upright like a serious student. She felt a bit disappointed in her mind. So he called her in just to fix the script. Zheng Shuyi diligently typed and corrected errors in the design draft. She was working but couldn't resist sneaking a glance. Shi Yang stood by the kitchen table, pouring water from the wine bottle in her hand and asked, want some water? Shuyi quickly replied, yes. She pointed at the cup he was pouring, I want to drink the water you're drinking. He casually glanced over, this is soju. Zheng Shuyi acknowledged, I know, I want to drink that. Shi Yang couldn't resist her cuteness, so he had to serve her wine. The phone on the living room table rang. When Shi Yang sat on the sofa and answered the phone, Shiyu suggested from the other end, hey, uncle, I'll send you some wine, okay? It's the wine I bought at the auction. It's really good, it's the kind that cuts through 1,000 words. Waited for his niece to quiet down, he then gently refused, no need. He stared at Zheng Shuyi, who was intently savoring the sweetness of the wine. She felt the gaze and looked over, our eyes met. Shi Yang calmly declined, it's not convenient for you to bring it over now, Qin Shiyu questioned unhappily, why is it inconvenient? Are you hiding a woman, poor little girl, with such a heartless uncle? Hung up the phone. Zheng Shuyi approached behind Shi Yang and softly called, CEO Shi. She handed the computer over to him and reported, please review this revision. Shi Yang didn't hesitate to bully the little girl, calmly criticizing her for being too long-winded. Zheng Shuyi thought there was really a problem, awkwardly turned back to fix it, so I'll correct it right away, and in his mind, Shi Yang recalled the words of Qin Shiyu. Hiding a woman in the house, huh? The sky had darkened completely, the magnificent house was illuminated by the moonlight. The house returned to its quiet state, a boy and a girl each doing their own thing, backs to each other. The conversation between Zheng Shuyi and Xi Yang ended without a conclusion. It was too short and didn't get approved. She sighed and asked, "Is there anything else?" Without hesitation, he pointed out the mistakes for her to correct. "In this part, I said it like this, not like this." Shuyi couldn't understand his intention and probed, "So what do you mean?" He kept his secret tightly. "Figure it out yourself. Or do you need me to help write it?" After a few revisions, Shuyi was confident. This time there should be no more issues. The words she had been waiting for were finally spoken, all right. She was intoxicated, lost in his words, unable to stay clear-headed. "Really?" Zheng Shuyi closed the laptop and confirmed once again, was there really nothing else to adjust? Being spoiled, she eagerly wanted to make further corrections to show her sense of responsibility. "I can keep editing, however you want me to finish it is fine." Hearing the girl chatter beside him, the corners of his mouth subconsciously curved up. Xi Yang had already let Shuyi go, and that was enough. Shuyi still hadn't fully believed it. "Is it really okay?" He didn't answer her question, but instead asked, "You've stayed at another man's house for so long, doesn't your boyfriend mind?" She hurriedly corrected him, leaving him stunned. "I don't have a boyfriend. We broke up, on the very day I first met you." He smirked but tried to hold it back, coldly asking, "So, you completely don't understand what Xi Yang is trying to communicate, so?" Looking at Xi Yang on the side without any extra expression, she wondered, did he mean? Zheng Shuyi swallowed, his deep face showing no clear emotion. She took the initiative to grasp his sleeve. Then hesitantly, "So can I pursue you?" Although Xi Yang rejected her, Qin Shiyu still happily brought the glass of wine over. Suddenly, she paused when she saw a familiar figure. Zheng Shuyi noticed Shiyu and greeted her, "Qin Shiyu, what a coincidence, you're here too." Qin Shiyu politely replied, "I'm here to find someone." Zheng Shuyi left with a reminder, "It might rain tonight, so remember to bring an umbrella." Qin Shiyu watched her figure disappear, feeling puzzled about why she was there. Qin Shiyu walked into the house with a cute face, pouting, "Uncle, I came to bring you some wine." Xi Yang was cleaning the cup that Shuyi had touched, with a clear lipstick mark still on the rim. The sight in front of her made Shuyue's eyes light up with excitement, smelling fresh news. It was indeed a lover. Xi Yang was helpless with the sudden appearance of his niece, who was out of breath. "Didn't I tell you not to come?" Qin Shiyu laughed it off. "I wanted to personally bring you something nice. Are you staying alone?" He understood the intention behind his niece's words, his eyes flickered, meaning to stop teasing, drop the stuff and leave. Qin Shiyu didn't dare to tease. Quickly stepped aside in agreement. "Okay." She thought of the scene when she encountered Zheng Shuyi under the house and thought, this reaction is probably real. Unless it was Zheng Shuyi, who was spotted in the neighborhood. Shuyi rushed straight to bed as soon as she got home, enjoying the comfort. She recalled the scene from that evening, silently cursing, completely crazy. He answered her question, saying if he couldn't do it, would she let go? Zheng Shuyi hesitated to reply, she wouldn't. Xi Yang turned her head to hide her emotions. "So why did you ask me?" "You immediately criticized, isn't this following the procedure to give you some respect?" When he heard the words from her, Xi Yang's gaze gradually darkened. He pressed the remote to open the door to see her off. She should leave now. Opening the door, she happily tied it up after receiving the order to leave. Before leaving, she didn't forget to add, "I'll WeChat with you later, I'm super good at chatting." She buried her face in the bed, thinking to herself. He didn't respond, probably silently agreeing. The bell rang, waking her from her melancholy. Shuyi quickly grabbed her phone, silently hoping that he had accepted her friend request. "This is a message from Zheng Shuyi's friend. Shuyi, I heard you and Yu Xingzhou broke up. The girl who sent the message is your good sister, college roommate Tat Nak-san." Recalling the past, she was a bit annoyed. "How did you know?" Tat Nak-san quickly replied, "I saw his friend circle, he went on a trip with another woman." In her mind, the girl silently recalled the photo she had seen. C.I. Rushin criticized, thinking his brain had been struck by lightning. Lightning struck loudly outside, signaling a big storm approaching. Suddenly, a cheerful smile appeared on Zheng Shuyi's face. "Let them be, I have something to do now." She went back to the chat channel with Xi Yang and sent a message, "Xi Yang, I'm home now, CEO Xi, have you already rested?" She closed her eyes, placed the phone beside her, and waited. "Xi Yang, I'm waiting for your reply. The screen lit up. Shuyi grabbed the phone, puzzled. She replied, but the message with just 2 characters left her utterly confused. TD, does that mean a return? Outside, the thunder roared fiercely with a deafening crash. Zheng Shuyi woke up with a start, frightened out of her wits. She remembered the 2 words Xi Yang sent, TD. She calmed her emotions, collapsed on the bed, and thought to herself, is this a dream? How could Xi Yang joke like this? Zheng Shuyi stared at the phone again, her mood completely down now. No response all evening, not even as good as a rejected ad. At the company, there's chatter going around, hey, have you heard anything yet? Colleagues are whispering among themselves. Zheng Shuyi's manuscript was rejected several times by Ming Yu. Her manuscript is the best it's ever been, never been rejected before. Another colleague wondered, could she have offended someone? Qin Shiyu behind heard every rumor clearly and thought to himself, even if he wanted to vent his anger, he couldn't torment the delicate beauty like that, could he? Suddenly, Zheng Shuyi's voice came from behind, Qin Shiyu, come here for a moment. Today, Shuyi has her hair tied back, looking exhausted, lifeless, and lazily giving orders. The chief editor told her to attend the meeting with me, glanced her up and down. And Qin Shiyu became concerned. Zheng Shuyi is definitely not that little beauty. Suddenly recalling Shuyi's notice, Shiyu wondered, what kind of meeting is this? The smile on Zheng Shuyi's face was bright at that moment. The press conference of Mingyu Bank was about Xi Yang, whom I asked her to transcribe the recording from the other day. Qin Shiyu gaped, her soul seemed to leave her body out of fear, the fear-named youngest uncle, she couldn't believe her ears and shouted, what? At the Cedar Group building bathed in warm sunlight. Inside the building, countless people were bustling about. 2 girls with 2 different states. While Zheng Shuyi was confident with a radiant face, Qin Shiyu shrank back. Shuyi glanced around and sighed, so many people. She was so excited that she dragged Qin Shiyu along like the wind. Qin Shiyu, terrified, reminded her, sis, wait a minute, isn't there a seat in the back? Why are you going to the front? The main goal was to get a better view of the guys, but Shuyi cleverly made up an excuse, you can't hear well from the back. Final result, Qin Shiyu had to accept sitting in the front row with Zheng Shuyi. Xi Yang, along with the leadership team, followed each other into the conference hall after the announcement. Esteemed guests, the press conference is now beginning. We invite the representatives to give their speeches. Today, as usual, Xi Yang is dressed neatly in a clean suit. Qin Shiyu looked down, not daring to look directly, while Shuyi's eyes brightened. He placed his hand on his seat and quietly sat down. The face still exudes 100% indifference. She still hadn't recovered from watching each of Xi Yang's actions. He lifted his eyes and looked down below. At the same time she noticed his gaze, looked back, and flashed a bright smile. Xi Yang looked away, Shuyi helplessly mouthed the words, this. She quickly pulled out her phone and focused intently on the screen. Zheng Shuyi sent a series of messages to Xi Yang, saying CEO, she was so handsome today, breathtakingly handsome. Today, this auditorium isn't a news conference, but rather a press conference about your charm. He heard the notification sound from his phone and carefully took it out of his pocket. Messages keep coming in, leaving him stunned. Right now, I can't speak, but inside, I'm screaming his name, the most handsome guy here. Xi Yang sent a warning glance towards Zheng Shuyi. Zheng Shuyi took in all his expressions, he read it. Her fingers tapped continuously. I would rather wear a high heel on my left foot and a stone-filled shoe on my right foot to conquer Mount Everest than to see him frown like that. After annoying him, she felt happy, satisfied, who told him not to reply to my message. Finally, she didn't forget to send an extra, sending sticker. Feeling a cold gaze directed at her, Shuyi poked her head up. Xi Yang was intently staring at her, and she hurriedly tossed the phone in her hand away, terrified. Zheng Shuyi slumped back into a posture, sitting like a well-behaved student. Shuyi took out her laptop to work before the session started. Qin Shiyu kept her head down the entire time. Mustering all her courage, she finally made an excuse. Sister Shuyi, I want to go outside and get some fresh air. Shuyi sensed something was off and asked, what's wrong? Not used to these situations. Qin Shiyu awkwardly explained, CEO, she said he was looking at me, and I don't know why I felt scared. Shuyi also unconsciously looked up at Xi Yang, who was sitting properly. Xi Yang was focused, but still quickly noticed Shuyi's gaze. She smiled slightly and nonchalantly reassured Shiyu, don't be nervous, he's looking at me. A man suddenly approached during the break and greeted her. You're the economic and financial journalist Zheng Shuyi, right? The young man with ash-grey hair raised his hand in greeting and introduced himself. I'm sheer bombing. a reporter from the Jiangcheng Daily. I've read your articles and have been wanting to meet you. For a long time. Zheng Shuyi politely responded, hello, when I first graduated, I interned in finance and economics. Back then, my team leader was Tang Yi. Zheng Shuyi recalled. She's currently my editor-in-chief. The young man cheerfully said, then we are almost colleagues, aren't we? Xie Bombing took the opportunity and said, let's add each other on WeChat, so we can easily share any news in the future. Zheng Shuyi agreed without hesitation. In her heart, she thought, having one more friend and one more source of information wouldn't hurt. Shuyi quickly took out her phone to scan the code. Let me scan it. She glanced over again, her gaze directly meeting hers very clearly. Xi Yang's face remained emotionless, as he watched each affectionate interaction between her and Xie Bombing. Shuyi sensed that this time, his gaze was different from before. Xi Yang carefully observed the image of two people engrossed in arguing with each other. Xie Bombing cheerfully urged, you sweet mine, Zheng Shuyi politely replied, yes. Xi Yang decided not to sit still anymore, pulled the chair, stood up, and called Zheng Shuyi. The call awakened both Shuyi and Bombing, and they simultaneously turned their gaze. Come here. The way Xi Yang walks is extremely funny. Bombing awkwardly nudged the girl next to him, reminding her that he was calling her over there. Looking at his uncomfortable expression, she was so scared that she started sweating. Could it be? An idea popped into her head. Xi Yang felt uneasy, he was jealous. Zheng Shuyi eagerly emphasized each word, he was jealous. She happily walked to the private discussion area, looking for me about something. Xi Yang stood against the light, her voice cold as she commanded, sit down. She also sat obediently on the chair, full of anticipation, hurry, say you're jealous already. Xi Yang's shoe tip stopped in front of Zheng Shuyi. His eyes were sharp as he questioned, where's the female reporter who was with you? Not expecting Xi Yang to ask this question, a puzzled question mark appeared in her mind. Xi Yang reminded her of the female reporter who accompanied her here. Zheng Shuyi understood everything clearly. He called me back to gather information about Qin Shiyu. She fumbled for her phone, asking me to contact her. Shuyi felt a bit disappointed, realizing that his glance earlier was indeed directed at Qin Shiyu. But now he still asked me to pass on a message. The two of them didn't really know each other yet. Am I just a tool for you? Well, then I will. The other end picked up the phone. Hello, Shuyi immediately asked, Shiyu, where are you? Shiyu casually replied, I'm at a cafe outside. Shiyu assured, I'm not leaving, it's just that the atmosphere inside is too stuffy, so I stepped out to get some fresh air. Hung up the phone of Qin Shiyu, Zheng Shuyi reported, CEO she left, where did she go, he asked again. Zheng Shuyi made up an excuse, she's not feeling well, she's already gone home. Xi Yang wasn't satisfied, asking where exactly she felt unwell. Shuyi's patience seemed to have reached its limit. Do I need to report to you what I had for lunch too? In the end, she decided to lay her cards on the table with him. She had a CEO complex. Seeing a big shot like him, she couldn't help it. Her chest felt tight, and she struggled to breathe. Suddenly she expressed her feelings unexpectedly, while I'm not like that. Resting her chin on both hands, Zheng Shuyi flashed a bright smile, radiating charm. I saw his brilliance blossom, and I was utterly captivated. Shuyi openly expresses her feelings, extremely excited. He cleared his throat softly, causing her last word to break off abruptly. Shuyi felt like she had done something wrong and regretted it, realizing she had gone too far. He didn't fall for it. Luckily, the assistant stepped in to mediate this tense atmosphere. CEO Shi, the press conference continued. Seeing the boss with a beautiful woman, the assistant hesitated. Xi Yang didn't say another word, adjusted his suit, and prepared to step outside. Before leaving, he couldn't help but look back. Zheng Shuyi, misunderstanding that he was interested in Shiyu, looked dejected. At the end of the workday, walking alone on the street, Shuyi let out a sigh. In the end, Qin Shiyu did not return. Perhaps this time, I'll see the script turn into nothing again. Shuyi was lost in thought. Suddenly, I saw a familiar figure. She instinctively turned to look. Xi Yang was standing in front of Qin Shiyu. Shuyi was stunned, unable to utter a single word. Qin Shiyu looked genuinely happy when she was with him, which only deepened her doubts, and as expected, it was true. A series of beautiful images of the two together fades away in memory. So from start to finish. The person he's interested in isn't me. Xi Yang and Qin Shiyu's words flooded her mind. Can I pursue myself? I feel like Xi Yang is looking at me. Anyway, I despise being in this situation. The two of you have gone your separate ways. Shi Yang also saw Shuyi on the other side of the road. Shuyi seemed on the verge of tears, but this time I had no right to be sad. She silently recited the chant in her mind, unseen, all by my own will. Zheng Shuyi turned around and walked alone down the street. He must have left by now. Her focus remained entirely on the back. Shuyi glanced subtly. Suddenly, she turned back and saw that Shi Yang was adjusting his sleeve, leaning against the car door. He showed no extra expression, looking as if he was waiting for someone. When she looked at Shi Yang, she didn't even lift her eyelids to respond. Shuyi felt conflicted inside, wondering why he was still there. Although feeling regretful, she still chose to turn away resolutely. The script isn't supposed to be like that. Zheng Shuyi finds herself in a difficult situation. The more she thought about Shi Yang's affection for her, the more heartbroken she felt. What did he really mean, not refusing her, yet staying by the side of another woman of unknown status? The effort to hold back tears made Shuyi's cheeks flush. Didn't he say he didn't have a girlfriend? Why is he being ambiguous with someone else? Shuyi walked carelessly and ended up in a dead-end alley. Was he playing tricks on himself? At this point, who is the chicken and who is the grain? How did he suddenly find himself in this dead end? She lost not only her love, but also her dignity. He must be smugly watching her turn back. While she was lost in thought, "I won't," a footstep approached from behind. Shuyan asked suspiciously, "What are you doing here?" She bowed her head with a neutral expression, offering a defense and seeking blessing. He absent-mindedly glanced away, puzzled. Yang used his power to force her, but Zheng Xiaoyai didn't resist at all. She said goodbye, "Take care, I won't see you off." As soon as she finished speaking, a notification from the phone in her pocket rang, informing her that the ride had been cancelled because she didn't arrive at the meeting point on time. Another embarrassing incident like this, and she would completely lose face. How humiliating. Suddenly, Shi Yang's hand gently tugged at her sleeve. She instinctively turned around in surprise. Seo Yun extended his hand. "Let's go, I'll take you home." Zheng Shuyi quickly compromised and followed Shi Yang into the car, her mind still filled with worries. "I am enduring humiliation, lying low and tasting bitterness. If I can't tolerate small things, I'll ruin the big ones." During the call, Shi Yang couldn't help but observe the girl beside him. The rosy cheeks and sharp features are Shuyi's strengths. Shi Yang switched the phone from one hand to the other. The main purpose is to get a better look at Zheng Shuyi. The quiet space made the situation awkward. Suddenly, she clenched her hand tightly, showing determination for something. She barely lasted a few seconds before holding her forehead again, feeling a sharp pain that made her want to cry. The other side didn't hear him, and called out to confirm, "CEO Shi." End of the call with Shi Yang's agreement. "Okay, let's do it." He couldn't help but turn to check on the person in the car. Zheng Shuyi didn't know when she had fallen into a deep sleep. Long eyelashes gently flutter by reflex. Shi Yang turns off his phone to avoid any further disturbances. His main task now is to watch her. Suddenly, due to the uncomfortable position, Shuyi tilted slightly. The body slowly collapses. Shi Yang quickly caught the side of her head. He carefully adjusted her posture to a proper, upright position. The gentle hand touches both soft cheeks. Shi Yang couldn't resist and seemed to want to place a kiss. Zheng Shuyi woke up drowsily after a long sleep. Suddenly, she was startled to discover the unbelievable change in the surrounding space, wondering how she had suddenly fallen asleep. While adjusting her hair, Zheng Shuyi slowly glanced at the person opposite her and softly called out, "CEO Shi." Shuyi silently assessed that Shi Yang was still sitting next to her. Shi Yang's eyes were still closed, but it seemed he had heard her call, letting out a faint sound. Shuyi hesitated and moved closer to probe. "Did you wait long for me?" He still hadn't opened his eyes but responded, "Not long." Zheng Shuyi felt embarrassed and hesitant as she watched his authoritative demeanor, wondering if she should say something to liven up the atmosphere. During the Yang period, although Shi Yang had an eye on the girl, he still pretended to chase her away. "Are you planning to stay here forever or what? Why aren't you getting off the car?" Zheng Shuyi noticed the situation, scratched his head, and gave an awkward smile. "No way." Suddenly, Shi Yang's eyes sharpened as he reminded Zheng Shuyi, "I'm very busy, get going." Shuyi quickly understood, hurriedly jumped out of the car, professional to the point of making people's hearts ache. Before leaving, she didn't forget to turn back and say thanks. "Thanks for taking me home, goodbye." Zheng Shuyi left, slamming the car door shut with a loud bang. He raised his hand, recalling the sensation of touching her cheek. The secretary's voice rang out, "CEO Shi, it's the evening rush hour, so the trip will take longer than expected. There's a high chance we'll be late tonight. Despite all the external distractions, the secretary's words couldn't break his thoughts about the feeling of Shi Yang. Although she had gotten out of the car, Shui still hadn't left. She watched the car starting up and thought, I kept thinking while sitting in the car, and now I've understood everything. Clearly, he wasn't on the way, and he was obviously very busy, but he still made a special effort to take me home, his face returning to a rosy, fresh look. After the car disappeared from sight, Shui started walking, so his actions. Suddenly, she jumped up in joy, obviously trying to cheer me up. Oh, I bet she noticed I wasn't too thrilled to see him approach Qin Shiyu. From the moment she left to when she got home, even during her personal routine, the thought still lingered in Zhang Shui's mind. However, something seemed off, one step closer to Qin Shiyu. Then the next step back to comfort me. She thought to herself, getting increasingly irritated, fine Shi Yang, so you are a scoundrel of a man after all. Shui lay on the bed, pouting and thinking to herself, although I have feelings for him, it doesn't mean I'm flirting with another man at the same time. I devote myself wholeheartedly to him, never mind, it's too complicated. Her eyes slowly drooped from exhaustion. Zheng Shui reassured herself, it's better this way, you and your niece share the same style, so I can carry out my plan without any burden. After all, I don't really like him. I shouldn't endure to the point of being inexplicably trapped like this. Wake up, Zheng Shui. No matter how yesterday was, after the rain comes the sunshine, she still has to go to work at the company. The meeting is going quite smoothly. Today, before the meeting, let me share some good news first. Our most recent weekly newspaper sales have doubled, and the readership of the digital edition has also skyrocketed. The interview of Zheng Shui was received very enthusiastically, sparking many major discussions in the industry. Kang Ik led this meeting. During the meeting, although Zheng Shui was being praised, she did not feel happy. Tang Yi's voice rang out, come on, let's give a round of applause for our great contributor. Finally, with enthusiastic applause, she was able to break into a radiant smile and regain her composure. The meeting ended, everyone returned to their desks. Shiyu found it strange and glanced slightly towards the opposite side. I was quite worried thinking about Shuyi. Was I just imagining things? It was clearly a commendation meeting, but it seemed like her mood wasn't that great. Was it because of your interview? Or was it because of the difficulties she was facing? Shu Yuling is slowly approaching Shuyi. Qin Shiyu hasn't escaped her thoughts yet. It's true that I told on you, but I didn't expect you to defend your family so fiercely. Hasn't this gone too far? Yuling pulled out the chair beside him, sat down, and said to Zheng Shuyi, Shuyi, what's wrong today? With such achievements, you should be happy. Tonight, we'll have a party to celebrate. Contrary to the excited expression of the girl beside her, Shuyi and Shiyu both remained indifferent and cold. The look in Shu Yuling's eyes turned instantly, her voice gradually becoming annoyingly sarcastic. Oh, could it be that you just broke up with your boyfriend and are in a bad mood? Shuyi still didn't care about her words. Yuling stood up abruptly, angry that she wasn't acknowledged, and shouted, Zheng Shuyi, I'm talking to you. Can you show a little respect for others? Qin Shiyu, standing nearby, covered her mouth and sneered, who asked for so much drama? Serves her right. Zheng Shui still didn't say a word, as she removed the earpiece from her ear. Yuling noticed the slight hesitation and asked Shuyi, are you talking to me? The sweet smile hides the awkward explanation. I've been wearing noise-cancelling headphones, the volume was a bit high, and I was so focused that I didn't hear, sorry. Qin Shiyu startled and turned, recalling, with noise-cancelling headphones on. Qin Shiyu remembered the time she called Zheng Shui, but got no response. Now she understands the issue, it was because she was wearing headphones, so she didn't hear it. Qin Shiyu continued to recall when Shui came with her to the press conference. The look on Shui's face was full of enthusiasm, as she pulled her along to explore everywhere. Shiyu felt awkward. She wasn't someone who lived coldly with others. Did that mean she had misunderstood her? The more Qin Shiyu thought about it, the sadder she became. From childhood to adulthood, I have never taken advantage of anyone, so I can't admit that it was my misunderstanding that caused her to take a detour. Shiyu squinted her eyes, regretting her actions. Oh my god, can this still be salvaged? Zheng Shui came home in the evening. The sound of rustling filled the room as she cleaned up. Finally, she sighed in relief, admitting that cleaning up made her feel much better. Not long after feeling happy, she remembered the 2 tickets, thinking about them. 2 tickets to see Song Yuelan's concert, but she wasn't sure who to go with since the performance is tomorrow night. The phone rang. Shuyi. Zheng Shuyi suddenly froze. Wait a minute. She opened Xi Yang's contact information, still hadn't replied to the long message. Shuyi had a bold idea, maybe. After a while, Zheng Shuyi had narrowed down the WeChat to Xi Yang, Xi Lucky, and Xi by Xi Yang. This seems a bit silly, but this WeChat ID belongs to Xi Yang. Seeing the friend request accepted, she was overjoyed. He had proactively added her. Long, slender fingers quickly get to work. Circle of friends. The information displayed shows content only for 3 days. After scrolling for a while with nothing interesting, it seemed like Zheng Shuyi had happily confirmed that this dull circle of friends was definitely his. She was the first to start the conversation. Finally, I've been waiting until you added me on Gaio chat. The first message didn't get a reply. So she sent a second one. Are you about to sleep? Fortunately, this time there was a response. It's still early. Shuyi held the phone in her hand, texting and smiling brightly. Just in time, I remember he's also a fan of Song Yulan. I just saw this and was thinking about who to go with. She sent a message along with 2 photos of Song Yulan, followed by a question mark. Shuyi knew how to seize the opportunity to ask, are you free tomorrow night? Looking at the typing indicator of the other person, she pouted, giving you one more chance, you can't refuse me. The message was successfully sent, okay. She was so happy she wanted to jump up and celebrate, immediately replied, let's go together tomorrow night. The person on the other end was extremely cold and only responded with one word, fine. Oh my god, what should I wear tomorrow? Let's see if I can win you over. Zheng Shuyi, like a young girl, excitedly gets ready for her date. The next morning, Zheng Shuyi's face was meticulously made up, with sharp features and a graceful outfit. She stood elegantly by the roadside, waiting for Xi Yang to pick her up. While waiting with nothing to do, Shuyi started planning. According to the rules of romantic dramas, a headband is the best way to look cute. Her eyes squinted with anticipation, as she even pictured a happy scene in her mind. I'll find a way to get him to wear it later, won't it be as easy as turning a hand? A supercar is speeding towards Zheng Shuyi from afar. Just as expected, the car screeched to a stop in front of her. She thought to herself, it's probably him, such a flashy car with that unmistakable license plate. Zheng Shuyi adjusted her coquettish posture and called out, she. The voice was abruptly cut off, and from the supercar, a pair of long slender legs stepped out. Qin Shiyu took off her sunglasses. Unexpectedly, Zheng Shuyi was stunned. Qin Shiyu. Although she hadn't planned this step, her reflexes still made her raise her hand to greet Qin Shi Yang, who had just arrived. Shuyi may be unlucky, but she's got optimism to make up for it. Funny coincidence, though. She figured it was no big deal. After all, today she's just Songnak Lam's concert. Qin Shiyu didn't understand what Shuyi was asking. Surprised, isn't it just a coincidence? Weren't you the one who asked me to come? You arranged to meet me, but her face went blank. Clearly, I meant to meet Xi Yang. A thought flashed through Shuyi's mind, causing her face to break out in a cold sweat. Wait a minute. She silently recalled the initials in their names, S.Y., Xi Yang, Shiyu, innocent and unaware, helped Zheng Shuyi, who was almost collapsing, and asked, what's wrong, sister? Her heart ached. She realized she had made a mistake. The fan meeting was extremely lively, with the room surrounded by the shrill screams of fans. 2 girls lost in the bustling crowd, one feeling awkward, the other uneasy. Zheng Shuyi sighed in frustration, holding her phone slightly to check the message. The messages with an illiterate person who can't type. A series of messages sent with no reply. Couldn't sleep well last night, because I was very anxious. I couldn't sleep. So if you can chat with me, I will be able to sleep well. Good morning. Certainty increased, probably mistaken. Xi Yang was a scoundrel, never answering calls, ignoring messages. Her eyes drooped, filled with sorrow. A series of negative thoughts flooded her mind. Why does he always want me to press my hot face against his cold back? What does he mean by being hot and cold? Can't an adult be a little honest with me? Is he playing me up on the stage? Songyak Lam's clear voice resonated. I've wanted to end everything before. Because my heart has been empty for a long time, crying won't fill it up. The song seems to express all the feelings of Shuyi. The warm tears began to flow, and Shuyi's sobs gradually echoed, yet they were warm songs, for I still yearned for something. Unable to hold back any longer, Zheng Shuyi decided to cry out loud, feeling sorry for herself. I am truly a sorrowful cat. What gives you the right? She resisted, refusing to accept this difficult ending. Her hand fervently waved with passion, ignoring the many puzzled looks around her. Qin Shiyu noticed her bad mood and asked, "What's wrong? Are you feeling down?" Just waiting for someone to care, Shuyi turned around, seemingly unable to hold back her emotions any longer. She nodded in confirmation. Zheng Shuyi reluctantly shared her thoughts. "You know, I just broke up not long ago." Qin Shiyu sympathized. "Have you heard?" Shuyi got straight to the point. "He pursued me for a long time. Back then everyone thought he would never leave me. But we hadn't been together for long before he did a complete 180 and cheated." Qin Shiyu was utterly shocked by this information. Shuyi exploded with emotion. "Damn it, just because that third girl in the house has money, not to mention her unpredictable uncle." Qin Shiyu, with a pensive expression, was eating melon as her beloved sister Shuyi was putting on a show, expressing an attitude of disgust, speaking in an annoyed tone, and furiously condemning. Qin Shiyu gripped the cheering stick tightly, making it click and light up. She was furious, suggesting that people like this should have their limbs cut off. Shuyi wholeheartedly agreed, saying yes. Suddenly, Zheng Shuyi's laughter became increasingly sinister. She had turned dark and revealed her scheme, which made it impossible for her sister to swallow her anger. Her sister couldn't let them live peacefully, especially since from the beginning, her uncle had warned her to be concerned about her. She jumped up, joining the fans' cheers with determination. She was determined to win him over and become their youngest aunt. Qin Shiyu eagerly fueled her motivation. That's right, she had to become that girl's youngest aunt. She had to make it happen, to wreak havoc in her family. Not doing so would mean she wasn't truly Chinese. "Shuyi, go for it." Her anger flared, she clenched her fist and agreed. When you give it your all but return exhausted, Shuyi leaves with the aches of an elderly person, neck pain, shoulder pain, hip pain. She laments, "It's better not to go overboard in life. Half of my life is already gone." According to Shuyi's story, Qin Shiyu had something to attend to and left early, so I had to catch a ride home on my own. The ride-hailing app opened on her phone. Trying to book a 7-seater for a friend, express car, number 88, Uncle 4, sorry for exceeding the estimated time, taxi, calling, special emergency car. Calling, her mind in a panic, "What, there are currently 88 people in line, let me try calling a ride from a less crowded spot." Suddenly she exclaimed, "Aya, it hurts." It turns out the heel of Zheng Shuyi's shoe had successfully broken off. She examined the situation with her hand and said, "Looks like it's time to retire these shoes." Suddenly, a car sped by, heading toward her. Shuyi noticed and said, "Oh, a taxi is coming." The car stands out in the middle of the road. Zheng Shuyi stared in a daze as the car window slowly lowered. Through the car window, Shi Yang's handsome face appeared, and in her mind, she was surprised. "Shi Yang, why is he here?" When Shi Yang started the car, she noticed a vehicle approaching this direction. The car stopped in front of her. The face of Shuyan showed no emotion, not even a glance. The scene unfolded so unexpectedly, and beyond expectations, that Zheng Shuyi was completely caught off guard. Shi Yang casually tilted his head slightly, glancing out the window. She swallowed hard, silently recalling Qin Shiyue's words of encouragement. "Shuyi, charge forward and become the youngest aunt." She spoke up before him, immediately seeking empathy. "I've twisted my ankle." In fact, she was quite panicked, trying to calm herself down, rushing forward. Zheng Shuyi leaned closer to the glass and softly spoke, "It's all because of you." Shi Yang propped his chin with one hand, listening to every word from Shuyi. "You have to take responsibility for me." The words she uttered made her feel embarrassed even as she heard them again, her cheeks blushing red from shyness. His face, which had just turned to look at her, now turned back to the front. Shi Yang drove straight away under the astonished gaze of Zheng Shuyi. The limping foot struggles to move forward, silently crying inside, "No way, just a slight sprain, but really disabled, is this leg made of paper?" Suddenly, a young man blocked her way, scratching his head and asking, "Do you need my help?" Zheng Shuyi declined politely, "No need, my boyfriend is coming to pick me up." Knowing the beautiful girl already had a boyfriend, the young man left dejectedly, while Shuyi's mind continued questioning, "Shi Yang, don't you have a heart?" Her cheek puffed up in a look of utter frustration. Shi Yang, with 1500 degrees of nearsightedness, heartless, indifferent, and unfeeling. The more she spoke, the angrier she became. "Am I not beautiful? Am I not cute?" Yet he wouldn't even spare me another glance. Shuyi stomped her foot angrily. Are his eyes only avoiding beautiful women? Why not donate to the hot pot restaurant? Hitting the sore spot made her feel even worse, both physically and emotionally. Zheng Shuyi winced in pain. It's true that no matter how many times she reincarnates, she's still foolish. While she was lamenting by the roadside, Seol-yun had already turned the car around, his face extremely pensive. He didn't say anything, just gave a quick glance to observe the situation. Zheng Shuyi was still unaware of the presence behind her, constantly complaining, stupid, wishing to be the brightest flower in the spring. Expressing all her feelings seemed to have improved her mood, she let out a long sigh. She realized the truth too late to justify herself. I feel like I can get in the car first and then explain. What do you think? Zheng Shuyi sat quietly in Shi Yang's car, with not a word spoken along the way. His slender hand stayed focused on the steering wheel throughout the drive, while Shuyi's mind was filled with unease. Shi Yang ran out of patience. It's been 10 minutes already, and you still haven't made it up. Don't rush, there's still 90 minutes left to take the exam. Although under interrogation, Seo Li still knew how to respond wisely. She cast a worried glance to the side. Zheng Shuyi had no choice but to use a fake illness, her leg hurt too much. Do not resist, he warned. Shuyi obediently complied, the car gradually accelerated. The night sky, Shi Yang took Shuyi to Jiangcheng Family Hospital. She silently assessed, it's the rehabilitation hospital of Shi Yang's family. He reached out to open her car door. She stared at him. Shi Yang coldly demanded, get out of the car. Her body trembled as she quickly turned around, ready to step down. Zheng Shuyi, not sure if the pain is real or fake, started whining, Shi Yang, my leg hurts, I can't stand up. Although feeling quite embarrassed, with determination, she quickly explained herself, you see, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have had to walk such a long distance with a sprained ankle. Plus, my shoes are ruined too. Shi Yang turned away abruptly and pretended to be blind, saying, I can't see. I donated myself to the hot pot restaurant, dug my own grave. Zheng Shuyi questioned, don't hold a grudge like that. Shuyi used a clever plan to hook the long legs of the guy. Successfully capturing the attention of Shi Yang, all the coyness displayed on Shuyi's face, she reached out and called his name once again, Shi Yang. She smiled brightly and asked for a favor, carrying me on her back. Shi Yang took a deep breath, lowered his face, and reminded Shuyi, stop playing around. She quickly retorted, I'm not doing anything. Suddenly, he lifted her entire body. Startled, she quickly wrapped her arms around him. Shuyi awkwardly tried to protest, Yen, I told you to give me a piggyback ride, not to carry me like this. Nestled in the arms of Shi Yang, Zheng Shuyi felt a bit flustered. So close, the faint scent of wood lingered, and she had thought this blockhead didn't have a heart. Yet his heart was beating so strongly. With things as they were, this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity couldn't be missed. Zheng Shuyi leaned closer to Shi Yang, her large eyes blinking as she whispered just loud enough for both of them to hear, Shi Yang, did your ex-girlfriend ever mention? From this angle. You are very handsome, she slowly released each word, secretly feeling proud, and it's very lethal, ha 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 ha. After hearing this, Shi Yang lost his grip, causing Zheng Shuyi to also lose her balance. Shi Yang supported Zheng Shuyi in a way that couldn't be more awkward, responding to Zheng Shuyi's teasing with a hint of affection. So did her ex-boyfriend ever tell her? Mimicking the tone of Zheng Shuyi, Shi Yang also dropped each word slowly, you are very heavy. Hearing those affectionate replies, Zheng Shuyi could only puff up and silently curse in her heart. No way. Then why don't you go and be my first ex-boyfriend? At the hospital, Zheng Shuyi kept groaning in pain. The doctor was worried and panicked. He said, Miss, I was very gentle, does it really hurt that much? Zheng Shuyi clearly wanted Shi Yang to hear. She cried out in pain while glancing over at Shi Yang. The log in peaceful times pays no heed, solely focused on pondering the words. Zheng Shi Yang tried even harder, putting all her effort into the performance. With such a heartfelt portrayal, could he really be just a block of wood? Then Shi Yang received a call, and he walked out coldly. Well, it didn't really lead to anything, she cried to the doctor, Doctor, just do what you need to, I can actually handle the pain. The doctor couldn't help but laugh. So it's just an act, turns out her condition wasn't serious at all. The doctor advised Zheng Shuyi to apply ice for 48 hours after returning home, then switch to heat. If the pain persists, she should use some medication to promote blood circulation and eliminate blood clots. She shouldn't massage the area or move around too much. If it's difficult, she can ask her boyfriend for help. Zheng Shuyi hesitated, in fact, it didn't hurt that much. Even the doctor sighed with sympathy. It's no big deal, but her boyfriend, though handsome, is too cold and distant. Shi Yang seemed coldly went outside to take a phone call, but in reality, but he stepped out so that Zheng Shuyi wouldn't have to waste energy pretending while recovering. He stood outside, listening to the humorous conversation of the women inside. When Zheng Shuyi heard the doctor say that, she retorted, "Doctor, don't talk nonsense. He's not some emotionless person." The doctor burst out laughing. "Miss, you defend your people too much." Shi Yang silently proud. "Whose wife is so talented, I wonder?" Not long after the joy, the next sentence from Zheng Shuyi made him stiffen. "Fundamentally, he is someone without a heart." Mentioning nature reminded her of, "But where has she been for so long? She hasn't come back yet. Don't tell me she's gone for good." The doctor reassured, "Probably went to pay the bill already." The sound of the door came right after. Zheng Shuyi, who had been resting enough, immediately returned to her acting mode. Shi Yang. She grimaced in frustration, realizing that the person entering wasn't Shi Yang, but instead, a cold wheelchair replaced the warm embrace she had hoped for. Shi Yang, a handsome guy, stood next to his four-wheeled girl to enhance his charm. He crossed his legs, one hand in his pocket, the other raised to check the racing clock hands. Looking very dashing. He turned his mesmerizing blue eyes toward the door to greet Zheng Shuyi. Zheng Shuyi was wheeled in by the nurse, elegantly waving to the indifferent person. The scene feels so familiar, as if we've seen it somewhere before, one standing, one sitting, their eyes meeting even without looking. Zheng Shuyi made a final effort to fulfill her role, reaching out, but my legs still couldn't move. Shi Yang bent down. Zheng Shuyi secretly felt proud of her own reasoning. Indeed, he couldn't refuse me. After this match, our relationship will take another step forward, but the heavens never take anything from anyone, nor do they give anything back. A mouse appeared to challenge her role. This incident took her by surprise. She screamed in terror, "What the hell is this?" She jumped on Shi Yang standing in front of her, clinging tightly to him. The rat was too big. Shi Yang was fortunately still cooperative, reaching out to catch her. Well, the wheelchair didn't disappoint. It sensed it was in the way, and quietly clattered away from where the two were. Shi Yang said nothing, just gazed at her golden legs. The situation is so dire that even having 10 legs wouldn't save you. "It's over, I think I should get in the car first and explain later, what do you think?" The car kept speeding through the city streets lit by streetlights, and the voice on the phone continued, "Shi Yang, I remember you know Boy Lam, right? A friend of mine has a movie that he wants to invite her to star in, but is still hesitating over the payment." Shuyi sat next to her, listening in. "Bei Lin, the rising actress, continued on the phone, is the relationship on your side easy to talk about?" Shi Yang was driving and responded, "Huh? I think her acting skills are just average." Shuyi looked at him. He continued, "Or the person sitting in my car, her acting skills are also very good." She was startled and turned away. At Shuyi's house, she sat back against the table, relaxing, wondering why something always happens every single day. Mistaking someone, limping, standing too close to Shi Yang, she scratched her head in frustration. Today's situation felt like being stuck with hard glue. "If that's the case, I can't just stop halfway. I have to go along with the plan," she said as she picked up her phone to text, almost forgetting to pay for his medicine. As soon as she hit send, a message from Shi Yang came in right away. She jumped up in surprise. "Oh my god," he replied to me. "Am I really on Earth?" Shi Yang was overly honest. "You can ask. Is this Shi Yang?" He texts back, "What if it isn't? How much is today's medicine?" "I'll pay you back," he replied curtly, "No need." Shuyi suddenly remembered, "Oh right, that's his hospital." She typed into the search bar, "Prices at Yengar Rehabilitation Hospital." Now she owes him nothing. "This delivery gave me a heart attack. Does he really not need it?" She messaged, "You're making me embarrassed." Then she sent the sparkling eyes emoji. He replied, "Consider it today's acting fee." She forced a smile, then texted, "My night shift salary is just over 2,000, but what do you want?" "If you asked," she put her hand on her chin, thinking, "I want you to have dinner with me tomorrow." At the same time, in a certain villa, everyone is throwing a party. Song Yulan was there too. She said, "The celebration is almost over, and you just arrived." She glanced at Shi Yang, who was sitting on the sofa. He was on his phone while saying, "Ran into something." "You are reading news from Shuyi, 2 words catch your eye." Qin Xiaoming stepped forward and said, "Shi Yang, tomorrow night is Uncle Zheng's family gathering, remember to bring little Shiyu along." Shiyu stood behind, listened, and froze. After running over, the child cried out, "I don't want to go anywhere, meow meow meow." Shi Yang was still glued to his phone, typing away, leaving no room for her. Shiyu stood behind, full of love for him. In the message, Shuyi wrote, "Tomorrow let's have dinner together." He replied, "I'll pick you up at 5 p.m, then he took a sip of his drink. Shuyi here happily texts, okay. The new day rises. Shuyi kept changing outfits, from green to yellow. Then came black, but still couldn't pick out a favorite outfit. She was furious. What on earth should I wear? This is our first date, she texted him, Shiyang, which one looks good, and then sent him a picture of her wardrobe. He replied, red. She looked around, wondering, where do I have anything red? I've never even worn red before, she thought, annoyed. Shiyang, did you just answer carelessly, or are you colorblind? While searching, she suddenly spotted a horse riding logo on a cream-colored sweater. She realized, yes, the other day when I went horseback riding, I was wearing a red riding outfit. This is you begging me, heading straight to the shopping mall. At the shopping center, Shuyi is trying on an elegant red off-shoulder bodycon dress. Someone suddenly asked, how do you feel about this dress? The other person replied, it's okay. She wondered, could this voice really be such a coincidence? She peeked out from the fitting room. Indeed. Encountering the dog-like couple again. Her phone beeped. Shuyi, what are you doing this weekend? I'm so bored, she texted. Shuyi replied, don't even mention it. I went shopping and ran into an annoying couple. Nan in the message seemed to get angry, really or not, where are you? Shuyi replied, Guk Kim, I'm nearby, I'll be there right away. Her mind struggled, and she finally decided it would be better to wait until they left before going out. 5 minutes later, Zheng Shuyi sat up straight in the dressing room as voices came from outside. This dress is too simple, it looks like it's meant for middle-aged women. But when a beautiful woman wears it, it'll look completely different. A moment later, she nodded off in exhaustion, her body drained of energy. The voice outside still persisted, no, I can't wear these pants, they make my legs look too big. No way, you're thin. 15 minutes passed just like that. Zheng Shuyi, with her messy hair, felt angry inside. This dress was too tight, and the color was dark. A beautiful person can make anything look good. Unable to hold it in any longer, she directly pulled back the curtain and stepped out. This was too much already. It's not like I was cheating, so why should I be afraid? The sales associate was still trying to assist her, saying, you look so stylish in red, this would be perfect to wear for Lunar New Year celebrations. She pondered, wondering if the dress's style was a bit too simple, as there wasn't any special design on it. The woman's figure was perfect, appearing in a red dress that created a highlight, surprising the salesperson. Zheng Shuyi walked out elegantly, her demeanor outstanding and beauty striking. Qin Yuezhi and Yu Xingzhou both instinctively looked at her. The salesperson was left speechless. Miss. She ignored Qin Yuezhi and walked over to compliment Zheng Shuyi endlessly. This dress suits you perfectly, your fair skin makes this dress look incredibly elegant. Honestly, this red color seems to be designed specifically for someone with your complexion. I think you look even better in this dress than our model in the magazine. You made the right choice coming here today, this is the last one we have. To be honest, if you try on another dress now, I won't be happy because this one is just too beautiful. Zheng Shuyi picked up her phone and said, not too bad, let me take a picture. Shi Yang is in the meeting room, listening to the people around. Suddenly, his phone vibrated, and he glanced over. Opening it, I saw that Zheng Shuyi had sent a photo and asked, is it beautiful? I want a 2-word answer. Yang Shi took off his glasses, rubbing his temples, making the shareholders in the meeting room go silent, afraid to breathe heavily. Does CEO Shi Yang have a problem somewhere? He sighed and replied. Everyone continued talking, and also didn't forget to leave a message for her. That's fine. Zheng Shuyi was infuriated by his 2 words. Qin Shi Yang, will saying something nice kill you or what? The blonde girl just entered the shop. Excuse me, may I try on that red dress over there? The sales assistant politely replied, I'm sorry, there are only 2 left. She naturally looked towards Zheng Shuyi and Qin Yuezhi. The 2 ladies were already dressed. Qin Yuezhi lifted her chin, trying to appear calm, not that pretty, right? But basically, Yu Xingzhou on this side couldn't hear what she was saying, only standing upright, her big eyes looking towards Zheng Shuyi. She shouted angrily, Yu Xingzhou. Zheng Shuyi on this side didn't care that they were arguing, only focused on figuring out what to do. If she just left like this, it would seem like she was afraid of this despicable couple. She decided to pretend to browse the clothes first. Qin Yuezhi suddenly appeared next to her just as she picked out an outfit she liked. Our taste is really similar, huh? Zheng Shuyi cursed silently in her heart. You really want to mess with me, don't you? Fine, I'll play along till the end. Pink is the color of office fashion, Zheng Shui exudes overwhelming charisma and takes the lead. The black color is striking, this suit made her win immediately, while Qin Yuezhi couldn't even wear an outfit of the same color properly, looking like she was wearing recycled trash. Both ugly and tacky. The girly fashion sense in the workplace, Zheng Shui looks like the boss, while she looks more like an aunt from the countryside. The sales clerk jumped up in joy, so I'll wrap these outfits for the ladies. Qin Yuezhi realized she wasn't gaining any advantage, so she clung to Yu Xingzhou's arm, deliberately showing off that her boyfriend had bought it for her. Darling. I love them all, buy them all for me, okay? Yu Xingzhou didn't want to spend money, she got angry. Hurry up, we still have to go eat later. A familiar figure approached and said, Shuyi, have you finished choosing? Indeed, no one else but Qin Shiyu, don't worry, I'll choose for you. The staff, thinking they got lucky, asked, should I pack everything? The girl couldn't possibly make it that easy, just gently placing the black card on the table. The low voice spoke each word clearly, apart from those few samples, package up everything that suits my sister's style. Everyone behind was wide-eyed with shock, especially Zheng Shui. She gently called out, Shiyu. The little girl winked mischievously and revealed to her, don't worry, this spare card is from him, he doesn't care about these trivial things. Zheng Shui broke out in a cold sweat. Oh my god, is this the world of the rich? Qin Shiyu smiled as she leaned against the counter. Thank you, really appreciate you picking out all the bad ones for us. Qin Yuezhi flew into a rage. Damn it, Yu Xingzhou beside him kept trying to calm him down. Alright, those samples weren't that great anyway, he thought to himself. Lucky me, my wallet is saved. Inside the store came the loud sound of yelling, none other than the voice of Qin Yuezhi, not beautiful, right? Earlier I saw you practically gluing your eyes onto her. The salesperson over here handed them the receipt and said, here you go, we will deliver the remaining items to your home. Zheng Shui stretched, feeling incredibly relaxed. Qin Shiyu, walking beside her, asked, how do you feel? Happy, got it out of your system. She hesitated before speaking, thank you, Chushiyue, but... Zheng Shui scratched her head. She already had dinner plans tonight. The girl asked more urgently than her, it's your uncle, right? How's it going? Two people simultaneously exchanged a sly smile. Zheng Shui walked while thinking, in a few days I will return the clothes. I will never be with Qin Shiyue's uncle, doing so would be too strange, under the apartment building. A luxury car was parked there. Yang Shi silently sat in the car, resting. Hearing the voice, brought to this place, right? He immediately looked outside. Zheng Shui wore a stunning red dress and said to the staff, excuse me for a moment. He smiled and replied cheerfully, no trouble at all, this is what we are here for. The outfit she wore underneath was designed like a chapao, but with a touch of modern style. Shi Yang on this side didn't blink. He then got out of the car and called, Zheng Shui, leaving the two people on the other side surprised and bewildered. She looked at him with beautiful makeup, Shi Yang. He wore a black suit, looking extremely elegant as he extended his hand toward her, getting into the car.